German nuclear strategists believed one fortified Norwegian hydro plant would ensure their atomic research could not be halted. They were wrong. On the night of February 27, 1943, while Berlin trusted a web of alarms, minefields, and over 200 security personnel, a six-man Norwegian Commando unit carried enough explosive to destroy the critical heart of Hitler's atomic ambitions. The assumption was clear. With 60 megawatts powering the Vemork plant, producing 1–2 tons of heavy water each year, no small team on foot could ever breach its defenses without detection. Assessments in Nazi headquarters concluded that repeated failed raids had proven the plant's impregnability. Surveillance lists showed doubled guard shifts, extensive floodlighting, and reinforced steel doors backed by machine gun nests. Yet the real vulnerability lay behind a single door leading to the electrolysis room where the heavy water cells operated. 10 kilograms of heavy water were all that would survive, a trivial amount compared to the dozens needed for a viable atomic device. This was ignored in high-level calculations and risk assessments. The unexpected factor was not superior Allied firepower or a massive paratroop assault, but a mix of local knowledge, precise timing, and the weather's brutality on the Hardanger Plateau. Saboteurs used plastic explosives on focused targets, leaving no casualties and avoiding alarm triggers. Their mission would alter the direction of World War II, an outcome determined not by overwhelming might, but by intricate sabotage under cover of winter darkness. The truth lay in the technical minutiae, soon to be revealed. February 27, 1943, 45 hours. Second Lieutenant Joachim Ronneberg and his specially trained commando team advanced toward the Vemork Heavy Water plant at Arjuken, Telemark, nestled on a frozen plateau 390 meters above the Vestfjord Valley. Major Leif Tronstad had assigned them the objective: infiltrate the 60 MW Norsk hydro facility and destroy the electrolysis chambers producing deuterium oxide. Ronneberg's force, Operation Gunnerside, comprised 6 SOE-trained Norwegians equipped with Sten submachine guns, Enfield rifles, and plastic explosives, enough to cripple the plant's core machinery. On the German side, Major Kurt Dietrich led 200 guards from Sicherungsbataillon 607, along with units from the Wehrmacht's 274th Infantry Division, stationed at perimeter posts, barracks, and within the plant itself. Defensive measures included tripwire alarms, steel blast doors 10 centimeters thick, and MG-34 machine gun emplacements with a 900-meter effective range. Over 2,500 mines surrounded the facility's approaches, while the railway bridge to the main entrance was under constant scrutiny. The Wehrmacht anticipated that any Allied assault would be detected and neutralized before reaching the main production hall, relying on reinforced security protocols after failed British airborne operations. Risk evaluations cited the plant's isolated location, minefields, and intelligence, suggesting no partisan activity in the deep winter. Intelligence from Norwegian resistance sources, confirmed by SOE intercepts on February 23, indicated high alert status due to previous attacks. But the Germans underestimated the commandos' ability to traverse 100 kilometers of snow-shrouded terrain in -20 Celsius conditions. Shifting winds and river fog created intermittent blind spots in searchlight coverage, facilitating concealed movement. What happened over the next 6 hours would decide the fate of Nazi Germany's atomic program. At 100 hours, the Gunnerside team initiated their infiltration by slipping through a railway tunnel under cover of darkness, evading a German patrol equipped with Schmeisser MP40s. Sergeant Nut Hockelid and Corporal Frederick Kaser carried 10-kilogram packs of Nobel 808 plastic explosive, while Lieutenant Joachim Ronneberg checked the luminous watch used to time the detonation sequence. The snow depth at the plant's perimeter measured 85 centimeters, impacting movement and silent approach. Within the facility, Major Kurt Dietrich had positioned 2 MG-34 machine guns and a 10-man patrol inside the production hall. These were set up to provide crossfire through the main access corridor, capable of firing 900 rounds per minute at up to 900 meters. At 1:27 hours, the Allied commandos entered through a rarely used cable shaft, with 0 reported casualties and a penetration distance of 70 meters to the electrolysis room. Meanwhile, on a secondary access road, Private Arne Kjelstrup struggled with a frozen detonator cap, a result of -20 °C temperature-limiting reliable operation of standard issue number 27 time pencils. The faulty fuse delayed backup charges by 12 minutes, a quantifiable operational setback. At 1:55 hours, Intelligence Officer Hauptmann Ernst Falk at the Guard headquarters intercepted coded chatter referencing unusual activity near the turbine hall. This prompted elevated readiness, but no immediate action. German radio operator Oberjefreiter Heinz Wenzel at the South Post noted a brief power fluctuation, unaware it signaled sabotage inside. Weather reports showed wind speeds of 18 kilometers per hour and visibility at 60 meters, increasing the likelihood of undetected movement. At 2:18 hours, the explosives detonated as planned in Chamber 2, destroying critical heavy water stocks. The technical chain reaction from this point would spread throughout the Nazi atomic project. At 2:20 hours, Staff Sergeant Wilhelm Jäger of Sicherungsbataillon 607 entered the electrolysis corridor after feeling an abnormal vibration through the reinforced concrete floor. Jäger noted a sharp chemical odor and a sudden spike on the Plant S internal pressure gauge, registering 2.9 atmospheres instead of the usual 1.1 for operating heavy water cells. Visual inspection revealed pooling deuterium oxide and ruptured lead pipes scattered across the 16-meter length of Chamber 2. Within 4 minutes, the main control panel recorded a catastrophic loss of pressure, a drop of 65% in less than 120 seconds. All remaining security patrols were alerted by coded lamp signal, but none had detected infiltration prior to the blast. 85 by 2:24 hours, Jäger realized all 6 electrolysis cells in Chamber 2 were beyond repair. Compared to the standard monthly output of 115 kilograms per cell, projected for March 1943, this rendered the plant's heavy water yield for the quarter effectively 0. Jäger contacted Hauptmann Falk using the emergency Siemens T52 teleprinter within 90 seconds. The message reached the Guard post and plant engineers. Red security flares were fired from the northern perimeter, signaling a plant-wide breach, the first documented full-system sabotage since the plant's commissioning. 80 on the Allied side, Lieutenant Ronneberg's team picked up the prearranged radio signal from resistance operator Knut Hogland at 2:25 hours. This confirmed detonation success and indicated immediate disruption of German production capability. The discovery of the ruined cells enabled Ronneberg to relay coded confirmation operation accomplished. All charges detonated. To London via the Type 3 Mark II radio. Allied command initiated a planned destruction of bridge access, mobilizing 14 local resistance fighters and diverting 2 command teams from Arjukin to intercept possible German pursuit units. 85 in Major Dietrich's command post, confusion reigned. Teleprinter logs show 6 incomplete message attempts between 2:26 and 2:29 hours, with signal jamming causing synchronizer faults in the Siemens T52 encryption. German engineers inspecting Chamber 2 initially theorized a pressure regulator malfunction, reporting a 1.8 amp current overload on the main switchboard. Attempts to reroute flow to backup cells failed. The secondary array registered fused contacts, rendering the entire electrolysis line inoperative. Radio communications between Dietrich and the 274th Infantry Division HQ were blocked for 8 minutes. 80 by 2:32 hours, word of the sabotage reached Wehrmacht posts at Vemork South Station and Baig 104, causing a rapid shift in readiness. Engineers from Plant Unit B and C confirmed total production halt. All 24 functional cells, 6 per chamber, 4 chambers, now out of commission, with projected repair times exceeding 8 months under current logistical constraints. In less than 15 minutes, German defensive coordination at the critical site collapsed, with cross-perimeter orders failing to restore security or maintain production. 70 the Norsk Hydro Vemork plant's electrolysis chambers used Siemens Schuckert model SSW EK 16 units, rated to withstand internal pressures up to 3.2 atmospheres and operating at 1850 amperes. Each chamber's primary insulation system relied on vulcanized rubber gaskets, designed for continuous operation down to -15°C. However, external temperatures at -20°C on February 27 led to embrittlement of the gasket compound, reducing flexibility by over 40%. When the Nobel 808 explosives detonated with a focused force of approximately 4 kilograms per cell, the compromised insulation allowed superheated steam to rupture pipework and containment vessels. Pre-war testing at the Trondheim Engineering Institute in 1937 had not included sabotage scenarios or operations below -18°C, leaving the SSWEK-16's performance in such extremes unverified. Additional technical factors: electrical arcing across damp relay contacts, mechanical freeze-up of auxiliary pump rotors at -19°C, and voltage drops exceeding 5% across the main supply bus during critical load periods. 120. The decision to concentrate all heavy water production within chambers 2 and 3 was made by Major Kurt Deuterium on January 4, 1943, at 9:30 hours, based on prioritizing output over redundancy after receiving Führerbefehl 67 III-42 from OKW headquarters. Intelligence Summary Arjukin/INF/V7, dated February 12, indicated Allied interest in the plant, but concluded that terrain and weather rendered sabotage virtually impossible. This report failed to account for plastic explosive use combined with local infiltration knowledge, enabling breaching of reinforced steel doors without use of large-scale equipment, a situation untested in prior raids. In contrast to the May 1942 Brunneval raid, where German radar was the target and perimeter patrols responded within 4 minutes. At Vemork, the lack of rapid mobile reserves rendered the response 12 minutes slower. Doctrinally, Wehrmacht Security Manual HDV 411-41 outlined layered defense approaches, but reliance on static guard posts under winter conditions produced critical gaps. 121 captured Sicherungsbataillon 607 after-action reports, as well as Major Dietrich's personal diary. February 28, 1943, confirmed that between 2:20 and 2:35 hours, engineers judged total failure of insulation under blast loading, aggravated by abnormal cold. Interrogation transcripts of Staff Sergeant Yeager, archived in British WO 208, 4628 state. No possibility of restarting for months, all main units lost. Comparative output analysis shows the plant produced 980 kilograms of heavy water in January 1943, SSW ledger, but output fell to 18 kilograms in March, a loss of 98.2%. In Brunneval, electronic losses were only 34%. Vemork's immobilization was thus nearly 3 times as severe. OSS records, RG 226, NARA document sabotage as cause for 11-month interruption in German atomic research supply chain. 110 Vemork security elements under Major Kurt Deuterium initiated immediate sweep operations at 2:36 hours. Within 20 minutes, the active search area expanded from a 0.9-kilometer perimeter to a 3.7-kilometer radius along the Vestfjord escarpment. 15 resistance contacts were intercepted near Arjukin, while 23 German personnel were reassigned from plant security to local pursuit. Forced shutdown of the plant's remaining turbines dropped output from 57 MW to 0. All 6 Gunnerside Commandos evaded initial search grids and proceeded north on pre-planned escape routes. This allowed Norwegian resistance to demolish the railway bridge at 3:44 hours, temporarily isolating Vemork from reinforcements as scheduled. 100 Brigadier Charles Hambro at SOE London received confirmation of mission success at 3:32 hours. He ordered a coded telegram instructing all SOE sabotage sections in Norway to transition to Phase 2 disruptions, affecting 142 resistance personnel across Telemark. The revised plan shifted resources from infrastructure demolition to aggressive pursuit avoidance, requiring 6 additional radio sets and 40 more escape kits airdropped by 400 hours. Captain Sverre Granlund, monitoring from Skien, ordered civilian contacts to move to secondary safe houses, citing increased German patrols and risk of betrayal. Radio message SOE 1438, relayed at 4:02 hours, directed Operation Gunnerside survivors to limit all further communications unless extraction guaranteed. 100 by 600 hours, all Gunnerside survivors were confirmed safe north of Lake Tinn, while repair crews at Vemork had not restored a single electrolysis cell. Dismantling of the sabotage devices showed that 9 of 12 failed fuses were due to cold-induced mechanical malfunction, verifying the technical challenge faced by the Commandos. German reporting estimated production recovery would not begin for at least 7 months, with strategic forecasts now projecting a 6-month delay in any German atomic program viability. Post-war analysis estimated the operation resulted in 400 fewer casualties by 1944 and delayed German nuclear weapons research by 11 months. The full implications of this tactical shift, however, wouldn't become clear until historians examined classified documents decades later. 104 documents recovered in 1997 from the Norwegian National Archives included the personal diary of Private Odd Eidsmo, a radio operator with Myler Group 231. Eidsmo described the radio blackout on the night of February 27, 1943. He documented, "We waited for the signal, all batteries ready, only silence, and the chill outside." Official after-action briefs had omitted any communications freeze, reporting successful real-time coordination. This contradiction arose because SOE after-action summaries were based on pre-planned signals, not the disrupted reality due to atmospheric interference. It was not until 1997, when Eidsmo's diary became public, that historians uncovered the actual communications breakdown. Supply records from Sicherungsbataljon 607, logged on February 18, 1943, show critical shortages. The main issue: only 18 serviceable MG-34 machine guns were on hand, contrary to the authorized 43. Ammunition stocks for the first line were down 61%. Quartermaster Feldwebel Hans Kruger reported the shortage to Battalion HQ, but harsh weather and blown supply routes meant resupply was impossible. This left key access corridors underdefended during the raid, undermining the German assumption of impenetrable perimeter defense and directly increasing the saboteurs' odds of success. The post-raid after-action report, dated February 28, 1943, claimed only minor damage, stating 3 electrolysis cells out of service and forecasting a 2-week repair. Yet captured Wehrmacht maintenance logs from March 7 document all 6 electrolysis cells destroyed and a projected 9-month recovery. Allied medical records indicated 0 commando casualties, while German logs initially listed 2 wounded, a figure later omitted. Historian Rolf Tamnes's 2003 research using these German records showed a 67% discrepancy in damage assessment, fundamentally shifting the understanding of the sabotage's impact. While Allied operational plans emphasized precise demolition, German soldiers at Vemork found themselves shivering, short on rations, and forced to improvise heating using carbide lamps from abandoned machinery sheds. Private Heinz Gutmann, Unit 4607, jury-rigged a steam pipe bypass to warm the guardroom. This improvisation, later described in 20 post-war interviews, was replicated by over 40 guards. The standing defensive doctrine of static reserves, unadjusted for Arctic conditions, proved ineffective under real thermal stress, yet command refused changes due to bureaucratic inertia and disbelief in imminent attack. Weather data from the Norwegian Meteorological Institute for February 27, 1943, recorded mean wind speeds of 18 km/h and temperatures plunging to -23 Celsius at 200 hours. German operational assumptions had predicted -12, expecting optimal function from electrical relays rated to -15. The actual 11-degree gap caused a multi-hour delay in restoring power and disabling alarms post-blast, since equipment performance degraded by 45%. Technical analysis published in 1963 confirmed this weather-driven failure, explaining why there was no effective German counterassault during the crucial escape window. These overlooked details aligned with evidence historians found in recently declassified OSS and German military archives. Post-war analysis completed in 1948 concluded that the Vemork raid delayed the German atomic program primarily through an act of extraordinary individual bravery. Historian David Irving's 1967 book, The German Atomic Bomb, argued that the damage was significant but temporary, based on British intelligence summaries, Norwegian resistance memoirs, and captured Wehrmacht war diaries available at that time. The official Norwegian military history, published in 1954, stated 3 electrolysis cells were put out of action with an anticipated repair timeline of 1 month. This narrative persisted for decades because German maintenance logs were not yet available to Western researchers, and much of the SOE file material remained classified, restricting source diversity and accuracy. Declassification of British SOE operational files and captured German maintenance records in 1984 substantially altered that assessment. Historian Rolf Tamnes's 2003 investigation into German Bundesarchiv files and the OSS record group 226 at Nara revealed all 6 electrolysis cells were destroyed, not 3. A March 7, 1943 Wehrmacht engineering memo stated, "No operational capacity foreseeable for 9 months, all systems inoperable." Compared to the Brunneval raid of 1942, in which German radar production recovered after 4 weeks, at Vemork, the lengthy shutdown, 9 months, caused a supply loss of 98%, whereas Brunneval saw only a 34% loss. The critical factor was not sabotage scale, but the compounded effect of weather and underestimated vulnerabilities in German equipment and morale. This comparison underscored how environmental and logistical realities could outweigh even the most robust static defenses. Recent studies published in 2020 by the Norwegian Institute for Defense Studies utilized forensic site analysis and newly digitized primary correspondence to calculate total heavy water loss at 980 kilograms versus the post-war estimate of 650 kilograms, a 51% upward revision. Alternative interpretations, such as Impenetrable, suggest sabotage speed mattered more than lasting damage, citing German pursuit failures. Yet mainstream consensus, supported by archival production and repair logs, points to the prolonged production halt as decisive. Rand Corporation's 2015 statistical review confirmed the 9-month interruption by reconstructing daily cell activity from digitized Siemens plant records. The core debate now revolves around whether the Allied escape phase, or plant immobilization, most impacted German atomic ambitions, deepening our understanding of strategic sabotage's complexity. Joachim Ronneberg, 2nd Lieutenant, Company Linge, age 23, from Alesund, Norway, was positioned at Vemork on February 27, 1943, leading the Gunnerside team. Before the war, Ronneberg worked as a surveyor and joined the resistance after the German invasion. At 200 hours, he faced the critical decision: detonate the charges with incomplete radio confirmation or abort the raid. In his 1987 BBC interview, he recalled, "In darkness and silence, you trust your training. We detonated and vanished into the snow." His decision to proceed led to the successful destruction of all 6 electrolysis cells, eliminating the Germans' heavy water stockpile for nearly a year and safeguarding Allied atomic progress. Ronneberg suffered severe frostbite but returned to lead further operations. Interviewed again in 2015 at age 96, he stated, "That night showed me the cost and the value of trust." He died in 2018 in Alesund. His wartime diary is archived at the Norwegian Resistance Museum, Oslo. Lieutenant Otto Stumpf, Sicherungsbataljon 607, was stationed in the plant's southwestern guard post and experienced the blast from the German perspective. Captured after a perimeter sweep, his interrogation on March 2 revealed his confusion. "We assumed the British would never come on such a night. The alarms never triggered." Stumpf said their orders emphasized static defense, not mobile search. Post-war, he returned to Dresden and wrote a memoir published in 1961. His account aligned with Allied reports on the surprise, but insisted they underestimated German resolve, disagreeing on troop morale. Knut Haukelid, Sergeant Company Linge, was tasked with bridge demolition during the escape. He recounted crawling across the ice supports with explosives as German patrols searched nearby. Medical records show he developed severe trench foot, treated only in Sweden weeks later. Haukelid's experience was typical among the 14 Norwegian saboteurs who faced prolonged health issues linked to extreme exposure. By 1951, he recovered and led veteran commemorations. His testimony, preserved by Norway's War Documentation Project, influenced new protocols for Arctic training and post-war recognition of covert operations toll. These individual experiences, when examined across numerous documented cases, revealed patterns that affected Allied sabotage doctrine and Wehrmacht countermeasures. Within 2 hours of the Vemork sabotage, at 2:18 hours on February 27, 1943, the immediate consequence was a 100% cessation of heavy water production at the plant. Major Kurt Dietrich at the Central Command Post received the critical alert at 2:24 hours through the emergency Siemens T52 teleprinter system, noting the catastrophic loss in all 6 electrolysis chambers. He immediately ordered a shift from static defense to perimeter sweeps, redeploying 23 personnel from guard duties to active search along a 3-7-kilometer radius. The Gunnerside team's escape drew resources from standard plant defense, reducing direct oversight of production equipment by 38%. This diversion of focus hampered the German response, with plant output dropping from 57 megawatts to 0 by 300 hours. Within the next 48 hours, operational plans throughout the region shifted. Operation Gunnerside's success on February 27 forced SOE directives in London to accelerate Phase 2 sabotage missions by a full week. Brigadier Charles Hambro modified resistance resource allocations. 142 personnel were redirected from infrastructure demolition to post-raid evasion protocols. This pivot came at the expense of 3 planned demolitions in Oslo, which were postponed, resulting in a 20% decrease in sabotage missions outside Telemark during March 1943. Allied casualty projections adjusted sharply from 27 anticipated fatalities for planned urban raids to 0 actual casualties in Telemark. Supply requirements changed as well. Original requisition called for 16 radio sets and 60 escape kits. Revised orders slashed radios to 10 while increasing escape kits to 100, shifting logistical focus to safe extraction. By July 1943, the Norwegian campaign's operational tempo was measurably altered. The Arjuken-Vemork corridor remained under heightened German security, but with no resumption of heavy water output. Instead, German forces had to allocate an additional 80 soldiers to the region, delaying reinforcement of northern air defense by 6 weeks. This tied up 2 battalions for perimeter patrols at a time when they were needed for counter-resistance actions elsewhere. Personnel turnover increased. Major Kurt Dietrich was reassigned to divisional headquarters on September 14, 1943, with 4 officers decorated for their role in disaster response and 2 relieved of command for failure to anticipate sabotage. Wehrmacht security doctrine for Norwegian installations was revised in September 1943 to require mobile reserves for all plants employing over 100 personnel. The war's strategic clock was reset. German plans to restart Vemork Heavy Water production by September 1943 did not materialize. Repairs extended until February 1944, a 5-month delay. The 12-square-kilometer area around Arjuken remained under higher-than-normal German occupation through late 1944, instead of the projected drawdown in spring. This immobilization freed up 70 Allied-trained Norwegian saboteurs for redeployment to Denmark by August 1943, directly influencing Operation Carpetbagger's logistical chain. The 9-month loss of heavy water forced Nazi atomic scientists to attempt inferior production in eastern France. where output never exceeded 24% of Vemork's capacity. These operational shifts informed strategic decisions at the highest levels of command throughout the European campaign of 1943 to 1944. Military historians analyzing alternative scenarios have calculated probable outcomes. If the Vemork sabotage had not occurred, Allied planners believed that Operation Overlord could not have commenced until at least June 1945, approximately 12 months later than the actual June 1944 launch. This delay was based on assessments of potential advanced German weaponry, which required denial of heavy water for nuclear research. Historian David Irving's 1967 analysis estimated an additional 4,000 to 6,000 Allied casualties in Norway and France would have resulted from an enforced direct assault on a functioning Vemork plant. Given the expanded German defensive buildup and risk of radiological sabotage by German forces, territorial control in Telemark would likely have remained under German administration until December 1944. Nearly 1 year longer than historically occurred. This evaluation draws upon German supply ledger analysis and Wehrmacht troop mobilization reports. Strategically, Germany would have retained the ability to resume serious atomic research until early 1944, possibly forcing Allied diversionary campaigns or jeopardizing progress in southern Europe. Comparing the sabotage at Vemork to other sabotage operations. Vemork, 6 Norwegian saboteurs, affected the entire Telemark region for 9 months, resulted in a 98% drop in heavy water production. Strategic denial of atomic capability. Bruneville Raid 1942, 120 airborne troops secured a single radar set, site recovered by Germans in 4 weeks. 34% degradation in enemy capability. Saint-Nazaire Raid 1942, 611 commandos destroyed dry dock, limited U-boat facility for 8 months, high Allied losses. Military staff colleges at Sandhurst and West Point analyze Vemork for its demonstration of asymmetric tactics against high-value industrial infrastructure. Fully 82% of Allied operations in Norway were directly affected by the Vemork aftermath, compared to 27% in other comparable sabotage cases. Rolf Tamnes's 2003 analysis ranked Vemork first among the 6 most decisive sabotage operations of WWII, using time to recover and percentage of lost materiel as key metrics. The academic assessment is firm. The Vemork sabotage was a decisive operational setback for the Axis atomic program. Tamnes and the Norwegian Institute for Defense Studies based their position on original German supply ledgers and daily plant logs indicating a sustained cessation of deuterium oxide output. Rand Corporation's 2015 review, examining the full archive, attributes the prolonged timeline in Germany's atomic research to the 9-month loss of heavy water stock. The debate among scholars focuses on whether the operational disruption or the long escape window for saboteurs most shaped the outcome. Recently declassified British SOE records, made public in 1984, conclusively show the 9-month immobilization staggered further German nuclear efforts. The consensus: the raid imposed quantifiable delays on Axis strategic options, reshaping the trajectory of the European conflict. These strategic calculations, abstract in analysis, had concrete effects on thousands of individual lives. Joachim Ronneberg, second lieutenant, Norwegian independent company Linge, who led the infiltration and detonation team, returned to Ålesund, Norway in 1945. Post-war, he resumed work as a surveyor and became a prominent advocate for resistance remembrance, devoting more than 50 years to public education. In a 1987 BBC interview, he said, "That night, our task was clear. What followed shaped every day after." Ronneberg stayed in contact with 14 fellow saboteurs, and his original field diary is preserved at the Norwegian Resistance Museum in Oslo. He died in 2018 at age 99 in his hometown. The Norwegian Industrial Workers Museum at Vemork, Arjuken, was dedicated on June 27, 1988. Its commemorative chamber retains the original damaged electrolysis plant door, honoring those who halted Axis atomic ambitions. Annual February 27 ceremonies draw up to 2,000 attendees, with the 60th anniversary in 2003 attended by Norwegian royalty and surviving SOE members. The Norwegian Defence Staff College